Hi Pine class, it's that time of the day again, it's story time, and we're on to chapter 5 of Journey to the Beginning of the World, and we're about to find out all about Professor Plonk and how he thinks the world began with his scientific explanation. So let's go. It was a very quick but very noisy trip to the super smart space laboratory, which looked exactly like the inside of the rocket ship, only bigger, with even more computer screens and flashing buttons. Across the screens were rolling patterns of numbers, symbols and squiggles. A chair slowly swiveled around to reveal a small, spiky animal. Greetings. I am the spiny anteater. I'm one of the only animals that survived the destruction of the dinosaurs, and I have devoted my life to discovering how the world was made. Well, that's just what I want to know, said Sophie. I've travelled to different times and places and have already heard 3 answers to the question. How do I know that your answer will be any truer? Because we have the scientific explanation, said Professor Plonk. Allow me to explain. And he read to them from one of the screens. The universe emerged from a singularity at time 0. The temperature was 1,000 billion degrees Kelvin and a density of 1,014 grams per cubic centimetre. Under these conditions, the photons of the radiation carried so much energy they were interchangeable with particles. Photons created pairs of particles and antiparticles that annihilated one another to make energetic photons in a constant interplay in line with Einstein's equation E = mc squared. Sophie, Kit, the little panda, tiny baby donkey and big baby elephant looked at him blankly. That's just gobbledygook, said Kit. And who's Einstein, anyway? Could you try and make it easier for us to understand? Asked Sophie. You make it sound so complicated. It is complicated, said Professor Plonk. He tried a simpler explanation. The universe began about 14 or 15 billion years ago. All of the stuff in the universe was stored inside a tiny bubble, 1,000 times smaller than the point of a needle. It was also hotter than anything we can imagine. Then suddenly, matter and energy burst out of the bubble. Scientists called this the Big Bang. After this, the universe began to cool down. And about 4,500 million years ago, the Earth was made from the gas and dust that had been swirling around the sun. We can tell from fossils that life began on Earth soon after, about 4,000 million years ago. The first organisms on Earth were bacteria, which evolved into weird-looking fish with thick skins and no backbone. Eventually, insects, reptiles and mammals developed. Over these millions of years, many different forms or species of life evolved, some of which died out, but some of which have survived millions of years, like our friend the spiny anteater. And what about humans? Where did they come from? Asked Kit. Humans, like all creatures, evolved from the first living organisms, but then most recently from apes. From apes? Exclaimed Kit. I can't be related to an ape. I don't even like bananas. This all sounds like my story of how the world was made, said the little panda. There was nothing, then there was a flash of light, Then humans came from weird bugs, but I'm not sure about the apes bit. But neither of you can explain why it happened in the first place, said the tiny baby donkey. There had to be a really powerful and intelligent force behind it all, planning it and deciding how the world would look. Yes, but that power is in all things. There's not just one single God, said the big baby elephant, and there's not just one single world. There is a cycle of worlds being created and destroyed, and recreated again and again. Nonsense, said Professor Plonk. Your answers are merely fantastical stories made up by people trying to explain how the world was made long before science came along to explain it properly. No, exclaimed the little panda, the tiny baby donkey, and the big elephant in unison. My answer is true. Sophie didn't know what to think. She'd heard so many answers to her question and her new friends argue, yet she was really unsure about any of their answers. They were all her friends and they didn't tell lies. They really all thought that they were right. So when they got home, Sophie decided to go and be by herself to try and work it all out. She climbed to the top of the stairs, crawled into her favourite little space under her bed and curled up with her treasures. Soon she was asleep. A little while later, Sophie wasn't sure if she was awake or if she was dreaming. She was inside a hall of mirrors. That's strange, thought Sophie. I thought I was just one little girl. But inside this hall of mirrors, I am lots and lots of little girls, each a bit different from the other. But then again, none of the reflections is really me. When she woke up, she edged herself out from underneath the bed and ran down the stairs, shouting to Kit and her friends. Where are you? I have an idea, and I think it means you can all be right. Each of your answers seems to me like the reflection from a different mirror in the hall of mirrors. Each of the mirrors was in a different place and so showed me a different picture. Each of you come from a different time and a different place, and so you have a different answer to the same question. It seems, said Sophie, that there are some big questions that are important to all people. We may never agree on just one way of answering them. And with this answer, Sophie was happy. Kit was happy. The little panda was happy. The tiny baby donkey was happy. The big baby elephant was happy. And even the spiny anteater was happy. In a swirl of sparkling dust, all the animals were transported back to their homes. Whoosh! Sophie decided that she had come to the end of this particular adventure. But now she had another very important question. And that's the end of the book. You guys might want to have a guess at what Sophie's other really important question was. But next week we will look at a new story. I hope you've enjoyed Journey to the Beginning of the World.